Hello guys, good day. Today I'm going to discuss to you all the things on the chapter 10 of the season A version 7 bridging, switching, routing, and wireless essentials. So let's go. Chapter 10 is all about LAN security concepts. Um, First is our introduction. Why should you take this module? If your career path is in IT, you won't just be building or maintaining networks. You will be responsible for the security of your network. For today's network architects and administrators, security is not an afterthought. It is a top priority for them. In fact, many people in IT now work exclusively in the area of network security. What will you learn in this module? Module title is LAN Security Concepts. The objective of this module is to explain how vulnerabilities compromise our LAN security. What this LAN stands for is a local area network. Next is the network security devices. Various network security devices are required to protect the network perimeter from outside access. These devices could include a virtual private network or VPN enabled router, a next generation firewall, which we know as a NGFW, and a network access control, which is the NAC device. A VPN is enabled router provides a secure connection to remote users across a public network and into the enterprise network. VPN services can be integrated into the firewall. The, the next generation firewall it has the ability to provide stateful packet inspection, application visibility and control, a next generation intrusion prevention systems or NGIPS, the advanced malware protection or the AMP, and the URL filtering. The NAC device includes authentication, authorization, and accounting services. In larger enterprises, these services might be incorporated into an appliance that can manage access policies across a wide variety of users and device types. The Cisco Identity Services Engine or ISE is an example of the NAC device. The Cisco ESA is a device that is designed to monitor Simple Mail Transfer Protocol or the SMTP. The Cisco ESA is constantly updated by real-time feeds from the Cisco Telos, which detects and correlates threats and solutions by using a worldwide database monitoring system. This threat intelligence data is pulled by the Cisco ESA every 3 to 5 minutes. These are some of the functions of the Cisco ESA. First is it blocks known threats, and second is it remediate against stealth malware that evaded initial detections. Third is the discard emails with bad links as shown in this figure. You can see here the attacker trying to send an email that which is an or virus and go to the firewall. Firewall will send it to ESA and the ESA will analyze the email. If it's analyzed as a bad link, it will send to the host on the network and it will disseminate. Next is the access control, authentication with a local password. Many types of authentication can be performed on networking devices, and each method offers varying levels of security. The simplest method of remote access authentication is to configure a login and a password combination on a console, VTY lines, and aux ports. As shown in the VTY lines in the following example, this method is the easiest to implement, but it's also the weakest and least secure. This method provides no accountability and the password is sent in plain text. Anyone with the password can gain entry to the device. Here is the command for the authentication. The network devices. Line VTY 004. The Password is the Cisco, and the login. SSH is a more secure form of remote access. It requires a username and a password, both of which are encrypted during transmission. The username and password can be authenticated by the local database method. It provides more accountability because the username is recorded when the user logs in. These are the examples of illustrates the SSH and local database methods of remote access. Is the command. The IP domain name example.com and crypto key generate RSA general keys modulus 2048. Username is admin secret strong password SSH version 2 line BTY04 transport input SSH login local. User account must be configured locally on each device. In a large enterprise environment with multiple routers and switches to manage, it can take time to implement and change local devices on each device. The local database configuration provides no fallback authentication method. For example, what if the administrator forgets the username and the password for that device? With no backup method available for authentication, password recovery becomes the only option. A better solution is to have all devices refer to the same database of usernames and passwords from a central server. Next is the Layer 2 vulnerabilities. Here you can see a figure of the OSI model, which is divided into 7 parts, which is the application, presentation, session, transport, network, data link, and physical. Application, presentation, and session are the function of the HTTP, HTTPS, POP3, IMAP, SSL, and SSH. Transport have the function of the protocols and ports. And network is for the IP addresses. Data link is for the Ethernet frames. The physical is for the physical links. Switch attack categories. The switch attack categories, which is the MAC table attacks, the VLAN attacks, the DHCP attacks, the ARP attacks, address spoofing attacks, and STP attacks. Next is the layer 2 attack mitigations. The solution for the attack mitigation is to do the port security, the DHCP snooping, dynamic ARP inspection, and the IP source guard. Port security, it prevents many types of attacks including MAC address flooding attacks and the DHCP starvation attack. DHCP snooping, it prevents the DHCP starvation and DHCP spoofing attacks. The dynamic ARP inspection is set to prevent the ARP spoofing and ARP poisoning attacks. The IP source guard is to prevent the MAC IP and IP address spoofing attacks. Next is the MAC address table attack. The MAC address table attack, switch operation review. Here you can see the command to how to show the MAC address table dynamic. First, you need to type the show MAC address and table dynamic. Here is the example of MAC address table flooding attacks. This is our threat, the actor, our suspect, and here's our switch. Here you can see the threat actor is connected to a VLAN 10 and uses MAC-off to rapidly generate many random source and destination MAC and IP addresses. Over a short period of time, the switch's MAC table fills up and when the MAC table is full, the switch begins to flood all frames that is received. As long as MAC-off continues to run, the MAC table remains full and the switch continues to flood all incoming frames out every port associated with VLAN 10. The threat actor then uses packet sniffing software to capture frames from any and all devices connected to VLAN 10. Is the MAC address table attack mitigations. You can see here our mitigation. Next is the LAN attacks. Next is the video, VLAN, and the XCP attack. This topic is investigate the many different types of LAN attacks and their mitigation of and their techniques. You can watch here the videos VLAN attack.
A VLAN hopping attack is going to enable traffic from one virtual local area network to be seen by another virtual local area network. And this is without the aid of a device such as a router. This is a basic VLAN hopping attack. A threat actor is going to configure a host to act just like a switch, and then using that.
You can see here in the VLAN hopping attacks, we have here the two server and two switches and hour at hour.
Host, they're going to take advantage of the automatic trunking port feature that's enabled by default on most switch ports. This would be the modes of dynamic auto or dynamic desirable on the switch ports. The threat actor is going to configure the host to spoof those 802.1q signaling and those DTP messages so that the trunk will form between the host and the switch. With a successful trunk established, they're going to be able to send and receive traffic on any virtual local area network, effectively hopping between any VLANs that they want to connect through. With a VLAN double tagging attack, a threat actor is going to embed a hidden 802.1q VLAN tag inside of a frame that already has an 802.1q VLAN tag. What's going to happen here is we're going to have an attacker that's going to double tag a frame. For example, our attacker was going to build a message that's going to communicate from its current VLAN, which is VLAN 10, with a targeted VLAN of VLAN 20. With the attacker currently being on VLAN 10, they're going to build a frame that's going to have an external VLAN header on it of VLAN 10, and then an internal tagged VLAN of VLAN 20. When that message is sent up to the first switch, our first switch is going to see the external outside header of VLAN 10. It's going to strip that off and then send this traffic on its way to any device running in VLAN 10. Well, the switch sees that VLAN 10 is also the native VLAN, so it's going to remove the VLAN 10 header and move it across the trunk link. Now, as that frame moves across the trunk link, the first header of VLAN 10 was removed. And now the internal tag, which is the VLAN 20, that still exists. This second switch is going to receive that frame, it's going to strip off that VLAN 20 header, and then it's going to forward it out any VLAN 20 ports, which includes down to that targeted host. This is effectively allowing our threat actor machine on VLAN 10 to communicate to the target on VLAN 20 using a double tag. Now, VLAN hopping and this whole idea of VLAN double tagging, they can both be prevented by putting in a couple security guidelines. Number one, we should get rid of trunking on any access port that goes to end devices. Also, the whole idea of auto trunking, using things like dynamic desirable and dynamic auto, that should be disabled. We should use manual static trunking as needed. Also, native VLAN should only be used on trunk links, and that native VLAN should never span to a user device. For instance, in this scenario only works when the threat actor is on the same VLAN as the native VLAN between our switches. DHCP is a powerful tool for easy dynamic addressing across our networks, but it can also be a powerful tool for malicious threat actors that want to have some fun with a network. So, quick recap of DHCP. We have DHCP servers that are going to dynamically provide addressing for us. That addressing includes IP addresses, subnet masks, default gateway, DNS servers, and even more with DHCP options to our clients. The typical conversation with DHCP goes back to DORA. Discover, offer, request, acknowledge. Our client's going to send a broadcast message, which is a discover. A server is going to hear that broadcast message and respond with a unicast offer of, this is what I can give you. Here's some addressing info. The client receives that offer and is very excited, and it sends out a broadcast of, I accept the offer you sent me. That server finishes it up with a unicast saying, you like the offer, I'm glad, I acknowledge. And then the lease is complete regarding the client taking that addressing info. It sounds easy enough, but now let's bring in an attack. Now it sounds funny saying it, but there's two common types of DHCP attacks. We've got the DHCP starvation attack and DHCP spoofing. With DHCP starvation, the goal of the threat actor is to create a denial of service for your connecting clients. What would happen is the threat actor would gobble up all of the usable DHCP provided addresses. The easiest way to go about this is having a threat actor using a client machine that's cycling through source MAC addresses very quickly, and for each source MAC address, gobbling up an available IP address being given by your DHCP server. When all the addresses are taken from the DHCP server, there's nothing to provide the legitimate clients. On top of that, there's the DHCP spoofing attack. Imagine having a threat actor putting out their own DHCP server on your network. And when your clients use the whole DORA process, and they broadcast out for a discover, and then there's the offer, the request, but then your rogue DHCP server finishes the conversation with the client with an acknowledgement providing wrong default gateway info, incorrect DNS servers, as well as even wrong IP addresses for the clients to use. Effectively, your legitimate clients cannot communicate on the network. So we have to prevent this by using safeguards and implementations for security.
Lastly is the CDP reconnaissance. The Cisco Discovery Protocol, or the CDP, is a proprietary Layer 2 link discovery protocol. It is enabled on all Cisco devices by default, and it can automatically discover other CDP-enabled devices and help auto-configure their connections. Network administrators also use CDP to help configure and troubleshoot network devices. CDP information is extremely useful in network troubleshooting. Uh, let's say, for example, the CDP can be used to verify layer 1 and 2 connectivity. If an administrator cannot ping a directly connected interface, but it still receives a CDP information, then the problem is most likely related to the layer 3 configuration. You can see in this figure, this is a sample of a Wireshark capture displays the contents of a CDP packet. The attacker is able to identify the Cisco iOS software version used by the device. This allows the attacker to determine whether there were any security vulnerabilities specific to that particular version of iOS. Here are some of this. For Wireshark, Ethernet. And note that the link layer discovery protocol is also vulnerable to reconnaissance attacks, and configure no LLDP run to disable LLDP globally. To disable LLDP on the interface, configure no LLDP transmit and no LLDP receive. Thank you.